Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to my channel Spacecraft Failure in Recent Years. So make sure to watch the full video. Rockets need thousands of components to work correctly in order to reach space, yet just one problem can send everything crashing back to Earth. With a record number of launch attempts this year, it is not unexpected that occasionally things went wrong. Despite the number of historically significant launches that were successful this year, a few either never reached orbit or failed to release their payloads once there. Astra, which was created in 2016, is attempting to carve out a niche for itself in the launch industry and plan to expand after the successful launch of its Rocket 3 series in November 2021. However, the launch on February 10 was unsuccessful. The two-stage LV-0008 rocket that today took off from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station functioned admirably at first, rising far into the Florida skies, but a problem developed about 3 minutes into the mission. During the live stream, it was stated that was fairing separation and stage separation. These things did happen, but not how we wanted them to. From an onboard camera's viewpoint, it looked like the fairings did not split until the upper stage engine ignited, exploding the two nose cone halves apart and sending the stage into a sharp spin. The incident resulted in NASA's ELANA 41 mission and its 4 miniature CubeSats being lost. 10 Astra rocket experienced its second failure, losing 2 NASA satellites. The first 2 Mesotropex CubeSats to study hurricanes were lost on June 12 as a result of Astra's second failure of 2022. During the live launch commentary, Amanda Dirk-Fry, senior manager for first stage and engine development at Astra, remarked, "We had a nominal first stage flight, but the upper stage engine did shut down early, and we did not deliver our payloads to orbit." Due to Astra's Rocket 3.3's second failure, the company discontinued the launcher in August and switched to the Rocket 4 next-generation launch system. 9. The new small satellite launch vehicle from India fails the first flight test. On August 6, India launched a brand new rocket, known as the Small Satellite Launch Vehicle, SLV, from the Satish Dhawan Space Center on the country's southeast coast. The test flight went smoothly for the first 3 stages before encountering a problem in the 4th and final stage. The upper stage's 2 satellite payloads were unable to reach their target orbit due to a sensor problem, making them useless. ISRO Chairman S. Somanath explained in a video statement following the launch that the satellites were placed in an elliptical orbit, rather than a circular one, because their closest approach to Earth was as close as 47 miles, 76 kilometers, meaning the atmosphere would drag them back to Earth very quickly. According to Somanath, ISRO will look into the problems and get ready for another SSLV rocket test flight. 8. Anomaly at launch suffered new Shepards. Blue Origin's new Shepard reusable suborbital rocket has drawn attention for its tourist flights from Launch Site 1 in West Texas, which carry up to 6 passengers above the Kármán line, which marks the unofficial transition between Earth's atmosphere and the start of space at 62 miles, 100 kilometers, above mean sea level. The rocket carried a 6th tourist flight in August, but a science-only mission on September 12 did not go as planned. The new Shepard booster developed a fault just before the mission reached a height of 30,000 feet, 9,000 meters. The escape device performed as expected, launching the capsule out of harm's way and enabling it to safely down to Earth via parachutes to be recovered safely. However, the booster was probably destroyed. The rocket is grounded now that the FAA is looking into the failure. 7 satellites fall back to Earth. Firefly announces Alpha rocket launch success. On October 1, Firefly successfully placed 3 satellites into low Earth orbit during its second attempt to launch the 95-foot-tall, 29-meter Alpha rocket from California's Vandenberg Space Force Base. The launch proceeded well, which was a relief since Firefly's initial launch in September 2021 failed when one of its first stage engines shut down too early. The company had deemed the launch a success, but the project was nevertheless hampered by the payloads being placed in lower than intended orbits, causing the satellites to re-enter the atmosphere on October 5 instead of the preferred date. The business was upbeat despite this, saying they simply needed to make very minor tweaks for our next mission. 6. Scottish rocket startup Skyrora's first attempt at space launch fails. Skyrora, one of several European startups pursuing orbital missions, intends to launch its Skyrora XL vehicle in 2023. The company took a step in that direction on October 8, when it attempted to launch a suborbital rocket from the coast of Iceland, with the intention of traveling 77 miles, 125 kilometers into space. However, initial launches are more difficult and frequently teach lessons. According to company officials, the Skylark-L rocket stopped shortly after liftoff because it could not reach the intended altitudes and fell into the Norwegian Sea around 500 meters, a third of a mile, from the coastal site. In Q2 2023, another suborbital attempt may be made before the anticipated orbital launch. 5. The launch of a tech-demonstrating satellite is compromised by a failure of Japan's Epsilon rocket. On October 11, 2022, an Epsilon rocket launched from the Uchinoura Space Center in Japan for the nation's first and only launch attempt of 2022. The mission was known as Innovative Satellite Technology Demonstration 3. After the first two stages, everything seemed to be going smoothly after the first two stages, but the webcast revealed that issues started to appear right before the third stage began. As a result, the flight termination system on Epsilon was turned on by the mission controllers, which killed the rocket. 4 of North Korea's most potent ballistic missiles. Space launchers also deliver personnel to space stations, expeditions to the moon and deep space, and satellites into orbit for Earth observation. They are nonetheless quite comparable to rockets, which can use space to transport weapons over great distances. A test of an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, on November 3 is thought to have failed, according to sources, but North Korea's nuclear weapons and delivery system program frequently serves as a reminder of this darker side. According to a source in the South Korean government, officials believe it was a Hwasong-17, North Korea's most sophisticated intercontinental ballistic missile. CNN stated. That insider, who interviewed CNN anonymously, said the test was unsuccessful. 3. China's Long March 6 successfully launches but upper stage breaks up. On November 11, China successfully launched its second Long March 6 rocket, a first bundle of liquid-fueled core stage and solid-side boosters, getting the Yunhai 3 satellite into the desired orbit. The satellite's top stage experienced an incident a few days later that caused it to become an orbital debris shower, but everything was still good at that point. It was initially detected as about 50 fragments, but by December it had broken up into a cloud of 350 particles that might endanger spacecraft in orbit for many years to come and increase the overall risk presented by space debris in low Earth orbit. Spacefaring nations take precautions to avert these occurrences, but occasionally, like with other parts of launch, things don't go as planned. 2. China's attempt to launch the first methane-fueled orbital rocket fails. Since China opened its space sector to private financing in 2014, a number of commercial Chinese launch businesses have emerged. These businesses have so far launched simpler, smaller solid rockets. It all changed on December 14, when Landspace beat SpaceX, Blue Origin, and United Launch Alliance to the launch pad with its Juke 2 liquid propellant rocket from Juklin. This was also the world's first attempt at an orbital launch of a methane-fueled rocket. However, Juke 2 fell short of orbit. The second stage's 14 satellites, which were not able to reach orbital speeds due to a problem impacting it, crashed into the water despite the first stage's strong performance. The mission marks a turning point for privately owned Chinese rockets, though more reusable and liquid launches are expected to follow. During the second stage, Europe's Vega C rocket crashes. 2 satellites for Airbus Pleiades Neo-Earth imaging constellation were to be placed into orbit during the second-ever launch of Europe's brand-new Vega C rocket on December 20 from Kourou, French Guiana. The rocket's first stage ran according to schedule, but less than 3 minutes into the flight, the Zafiro 42nd stage ran into a problem. Arianespace officials released a statement in which they stated that the Vega C mission was terminated approximately 2 minutes and 27 seconds after liftoff due to an anomaly on the Zafiro 40. Shortly after, range safety officers canceled the flight, and the vehicle and its payload plunged into the Atlantic Ocean. The European Space Agency's Vega rocket has a bigger, more potent counterpart called the Vega C, up to 5,070 pounds, 2,300 kilograms, and payloads can be launched into a sun-synchronous orbit using the 115-foot-tall, 35 meters, Vega C. So that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed the video. Use the comments section below to tell us your thoughts about the video. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of all the latest videos.